So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing 5 steps to building a culture of Kaizen that wins. Very simple steps. You're going to love it. So make sure you stick around. Well, hi, my name is Chad Burrows, and if it's your first time here, I help folks just like you advance their careers through lean, Kaizen, and root cause analysis. So if you're interested in those topics, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. After all, it's free. And likewise, I already know you're going to love this video, so go ahead and click that like button down below. But if you don't feel compelled to do that now, make sure you do that at some point during the video. Now, when researching this topic, I have to admit, it's a little difficult to find a lot of information on how to build a culture of continuous improvement through Kaizen, because remember, that's what Kaizen's all about. And I love models. No, not these models. These models, although these models aren't quite as pretty to look at, they are definitely better at simplifying and illustrating a topic with many moving pieces. So I built my own model and I call it the House of Kaizen, because the purpose of Kaizen really is all about continuous improvement or creating a culture that can continuously improve. So here are my 5 steps for building a culture of Kaizen that wins. Step number 1, have a unified focus. We need to start with some sort of overarching theme that we're trying to accomplish, or otherwise a vision of what we want. And that's represented by this triangle, also known as the roof of my model. Now, it's important to understand that 99% of all Kaizen activity will fall under 3 categories, or what I like to call pillars. Why? Because these pillars support the roof of our continuous improvement culture. And that leads me to step number 2, making sure your unified focus has support. And our support falls under 3 Kaizen pillars. The first Kaizen pillar is 5S. 5S is all about cleaning and organizing. An easy description of 5S would be,
I have a system. There's a place for everything in its place.
You clean, you organize, you put things away. Those 5 S's, they do fall under these 5 Japanese words that begin with S. And those are siri, seiton, seiso, seiketsu, and shisuke. Or in English, we would say sort, straighten, shine, standardize, and sustain. And the second pillar is waste elimination. Now, I've talked about waste in other videos, so I'm gonna run through these really quickly. But what you really need to understand is that waste elimination is all about the continuous pursuit of eliminating all waste in your process. And it's a pursuit that you know you're never gonna win, but you should never quit. Now, I like to use acronyms, so I'll tell you the acronyms after I tell you the waste, but those wastes are transportation, inventory, motion, the intellect of people. People are not a waste. Only the intellect of people, not using the people in the right places, is a waste. In other words, we don't want engineers up in trash cans. Not a very good use of that time. We don't want the president of the company coming down and putting widgets together. Again, not a very good use of the CEO's time. Waiting, overprocessing, overproduction, and defects. And the third pillar is standard work. Now, this pillar is probably the most difficult to implement. Why? Because when performing standard work, you can't implement or use the other 2 pillars. You are trying to create standard work that is both effective and efficient, meaning that you have to have everything in its place so you can quickly obtain those things. That's 5S. And you want to try to reduce all the waste in the process that you can to have a good standardized work process. And that's the second pillar, right? Waste elimination. So see, standard work really can incorporate all of these things into some sort of standardized system of work that's both effective and efficient. But what exactly is standard work? Well, standard work is a means of establishing precise procedures to make products in the safest, easiest, and most effective way based on current technologies. Basically, you're setting up a process to meet your customer requirements, and those customer requirements come in the form of time, also known as takt time. And takt time is what we're trying to accomplish, and we also know this as the voice of the customer. And it's our jobs, your job, to keep reducing our cycle time in the process, also known as the voice of the process, so that we can meet the customer takt time. And if you can't get the inefficiencies out of your process through standard work or eliminating waste or through 5S, then you're not going to be able to achieve your customer takt time or deliver on the promises you made to the customer or give the customer what they need. So remember, takt time is all about the voice of the customer, cycle time is all about voice of the process, and cycle time is where we're trying to eliminate waste, get more efficient so that we can meet a customer takt time. Now, within our house of Kaizen, there are 2 primary processes that live there. The first one is the manufacturing process. Manufacturing is the creation or production of goods with the help of equipment, labor, machines, tools, and chemicals, or biological processing or formulation. Basically, manufacturing is you have a bunch of raw materials that come in, you have a process that assembles all those things or puts those together, and then you have an output of that, and that output is what the customer wants. In a nutshell, the second primary process that lives in our house of Kaizen is transactional processes. A transactional process, in contrast to like physical manufacturing, is one that transforms information and data. For example, office activities, financial functions, credit card transactions, insurance, order processing, invoicing, all of these things that we need to do in order to get some sort of product or service out the door. So we just covered our 2 primary processes. So it's important to understand that in that house, right, and that's why I keep these in the house, they're gonna be improved by using one of the 3 pillars of Kaizen: 5S, waste elimination, or standard work. You can use all 3 of those to work on manufacturing processes and transactional processes, or both. And now step number 3. Have a strong foundation. So any good model, any good house must have a strong foundation. So our house of Kaizen has a strong foundation as well. And we need that so that we can build our house of continuous improvement. And our foundation falls under 3 Kaizen methods. And those methods are just do it. And just do it, or JDIs, we like to use acronyms, always using acronyms. It's just a quick, simple Kaizen that improves one's own area. These can be accomplished in 1 minute or just a few hours with 0 investment, well, other than time, and really not that much time either. Method number 2 is the Kaizen Blitz. Now, the Kaizen Blitz is usually a 1 to 3 day event that's treated exactly like an event, only smaller in scope and team. Now, I'm gonna go into a little more detail later on in the video why I split Kaizen events and Blitz up. I know a lot of times we use these interchangeably, but I'm gonna tell you why I split these, especially when trying to build a Kaizen culture. And method number 3 is the Kaizen event. The Kaizen event is generally a 5-day team event with a specific scope of reducing waste, improving standard work, and 5S. Now, even though the Blitz only lasts 1 to 3 days and the event lasts up to 5 days, don't take these for granted. There's a lot of pre-work that has to happen before you even get to the event. Now, that's not the case with JDIs or Just Do It's, right? Just Do It's, you can pretty much get those done in a day. You have the idea, you get it done pretty quick, and you're on to the next thing, right? And it's really about improving the space or the area that you work to make your job more efficient and effective. And this is where the culture starts to build. But with the Kaizen Blitz and event, because there's teams involved, other people, there's a lot of pre-work that has to go into these. And step number 4 is build your people slowly and support them every step of the way. And that's why I love Just Do It's, because with Just Do It's, everyone can get engaged. They only take a few seconds to a few hours. In fact, someone named Paul Akers, a gentleman that owns a company called FastCap, has had great success with implementing something called a 2-second Kaizen. He even wrote a book on it. So if you have a chance, I believe he has a website or definitely has a YouTube channel, go check him out, Paul Akers. I'll put a link in the description below. Great guy, very energetic, 2-second Kaizen. So we can do Just Do It rather quickly. And it's a critical building block in the foundation of our house of Kaizen. And when folks show promise, you can move them up the pyramid into Blitz and events. Now you see why I separated these out. As I mentioned earlier, Blitz and events. Blitz being 1 to 3 days, meaning that folks are getting involved, right? They're getting engaged in their Just Do It's. They show promise, they're doing really well, but they want to be challenged some more. Then that's when you can introduce them to the Blitz. What the Blitz does is it's only 1 to 3 days. It doesn't overwhelm them with some 5-day event, and it helps them get the reps in so they can build the process muscle needed for that 5-day event once they move up the pyramid once again into the events. And I love the house of Kaizen because it really does cover all the bases for building a culture of continuous improvement. But there's one piece we haven't gone over, which is just under what we talked about in our foundation. It's a foundational piece as well, and it's have a strategy. Where do we get all these wonderful Kaizen events and ideas from? We can't just blindly launch Kaizen events or have everybody just running around doing Kaizen events and Blitz without having some strategy behind it. Otherwise, we might think we're accomplishing a lot, but it doesn't hit the metrics. We always got to hit the metrics at some point, right? Otherwise, why are we doing these things? Now, when we talk about JDIs, not so important with the metrics. JDIs are really getting people involved, right? Getting people involved in Kaizen every day, everywhere, everyone. And that's what we want. But when we start talking about Blitz and events, we got to start being a little strategic about what we're doing. And that's why step number 5 is have a strategy. And so we should be generating Kaizens off our Hoshinkanri or policy deployment. That's where the leaders of our business are creating the ideas and the vision of where we need to go. And so we can drive our Kaizens off of that and start filling the pipeline, the Kaizen pipeline, with a bunch of strategy or strategic Kaizens. We should also be building our pipeline off of the value stream map. We talk about theory of constraints and eliminating waste and constantly chasing that constraint. And the VSM helps us identify where those constraints are so we can start attacking those and leaning out that process that's represented by the value stream map. And then of course our people. And our people is where we should get a lot of the ideas from. People have the greatest ideas about how to fix their process, right? They work at that job every single day and they know the ins and outs of what can be done. They might not know how to see it, so they don't have the terminology. And that's where getting them engaged in the Just Do It Kaizens, maybe some training, some basic training can really help them, start speaking the same language as everyone else, and then getting them involved in removing the waste or fixing the problems in their own area. And while I can't go into all the details here because the video is already getting pretty long, I hope you've gotten a lot of value out of this video. But if you really want to dig down deep and learn about Kaizen, Kaizen and how to deploy lean, Kaizen, and root cause analysis and really become the Kaizen expert at your company, I want to invite you to check out my website. Check out the Kaizen Expert Masterclass, where I actually walk you through how to facilitate a Kaizen event from day 1 to day 5, step by step, including all the templates, presentations, and downloads you'll ever need. Again, a link will be in the description below. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.